playing with the red. So at this point, they're not easy to do in a small form. When I do my, I don't have much white here, I got to put some white here. If I'm doing a poppy, they're light where the light hits them, but when they get deep down inside those dark center areas, they've definitely got darker shapes. And it's a variety of purples and greens, and it's not just black, 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 because that becomes too harsh. I got such thick paint. I don't have my eyeglasses on. That's another way to get off of the edges. Getting worse, too. So avoid straight blacks in those center areas. Try to make them a little variety of colors and whatnot. The poppies are actually a study of, they are darks on lights. Do we have any other, up on this, a small one up here on that wall. There are darks, there are dark poppies on a light sky. They are light colored when they come down and get on a darker background. So there it's a dark on a light, and here's light on a dark. And when I get down to the bottom half of the painting, I do keep it plenty dark so that the poppies do stay like a bright red. But if you want to bury a poppy in the shade, you know, the reds, literally in shade, start getting maroonish kind of colors. So these are the kind of colors you would use to describe a poppy in shade or the deep dark. So they're bright orange, cat orange, sometimes a little white thrown into the cat orange to keep them light. And as they turn under or go different directions or get hidden by the brush strokes and whatnot, they become the darker maroon or reds. And then at that point, I literally will come back at some point and make sure they look like, you know, the poppy's not going to be light all the way down. It might be light here on the edge. I might have to come back and darken. Or once you get another color mixed under you, you got to get it off there so you kind of lose a lot of product, keeping your palette knife clean. But these guys also get done in 2 and 3 layers. I'll palette knife the most important stuff, let it dry, and then I'll come back and start working other stuff in between. But if I'm trying to create undulations or folds or wrinkles in those poppies, I literally have to come along. That wasn't very much different. Let's get a little more color in there.
Poppies up again.
You know, and the poppy with the truck picture in it is my bestseller because the boys like the truck and the girls like the poppies. So, you know, there are certain ways to get around.
That is cute.
So those are fun ways to, you know, get shapes. I would have waited for it to dry if I was going to cut in second stuff like that, but that's kind of what happened. And, you know, there's 1,001 other artists doing poppies and poppy fields, so it's not as if my style is the only thing out there. There are other people that are very, just be careful not to do polka dot, polka dot, polka dot, polka dot, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches. I usually do, at the end of the day, if I got one going, I'll stick it at the end of my bed, turn off my lights down low, I'll just have my reading light next to the bed, and it's just that way, I've taken away the color, all I'm seeing is value. And I'll squint my eyes and I'll look at it, and if I don't have dun, space, boom. If I have just polka dot stuff, I have sticky notes that I'll go stick on the places that bother me. So that if it bothers me tonight, I sticky note it, wake up the next morning, if it still bothers me, it needs to get fixed. But I make sure I have 2 guys touching, a space, another one, you know, group them in 3s. You don't just have 1, 2 inches, 1, 2 inches, 1, 2 inches, 1, 2 inches. And unfortunately, I have to admit, there are magazines out there that have beautiful poppy paintings for sale in them. And I'm looking at the artwork going, oh my God. It looks literally like somebody gridded it off. And everybody's like a cornrow, and everybody's exactly, you know.
Nancy Reiner described that as wallpaper.
That's a good description. They've
You know,
wallpapered it, yeah.
It looks like wallpaper because you could stick another one right next to it and it would look like the seam in the wallpaper.
Yep. That is a good description.
So now, what would you do to finish off this mountain at this point?
If I were in the middle of this painting, I probably, one, would have finished all my underpainting first. Would have palette knifed small white areas onto my mountain. I need to get more white. Sorry if I just got paint on somebody. So the Nova Color paints are nice. They're not as heavy bodied as the Golden. So as you can see, I could easily squirt it out of a squirt container. It flows faster, but I swear it's not as opaque. So there are pluses and minuses to every brand. Okay, so I'm just going to get a variety of, and practice painting something that's white, and get the peaches, the pinks, the purples, and all the other lovely colors that are going to be there to describe it. I just want purple, not gray. So all of these versions of white are important to describe something white. It's not just white and Payne's gray. It's a variety of values. So everything from light blues, light purples, light pinks. So you can make sure you guys all get some fluorescent pink. Those kind of colors make a piece exciting and interesting as opposed to just straight white and purple and white. Okay. So I would have come in, I do need glasses for this part, guys, sorry. And if you do have a chance to get up to Wasilla at all, the Town Square Gallery has got 12 of my pieces up on the wall right now. And we have both Denali images and Pioneer Peak. And that's one from last year that was a 3-foot by 4-foot guy. And I know they sell these posters as well.
Is your name on that?
Yep, right there.
All through summer, until they sell them all.
At this point, we sold 3 last night. So last year when I came up and we sold this painting on opening night, so it wasn't even there after opening night. I have no idea how they moved. They had 2 pieces up until 2 months ago, and then right when they committed to having me fly up and do the art walk thing with them, they sold through the next 2 large ones. And so she didn't have a thing on the wall 4 or 5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, when she knew the show was coming out, because I was so swamped with Tulip Town, I didn't get them done. And so we literally overnight freighted them 7 days ago, and she had them stretched up on the wall last night.
You have originals there or Gigles?
All originals and 1 G-clay currently up on the wall. There's a trumpet flower that's up there.
Did you do the sled dog?
Yeah, there was one. If you saw a small sled dog
With
picture.
the different color eyes?
Yeah, the happy face boy.
I like that
I do too. I painted a second one of those just for myself because I had 2 puppies out of Susan Butcher's racing team I left here, Dawson and Klondike, who proceeded to eat the inside carpet and screens and wire chains for our car. By the time we drove from here all the way down to Seattle, those things were missing. Don't know what they ate on the way down. I never saw them poop them out, but the carpet was gone. The screens that lined the windows were gone. So every now and then when somebody says, "Oh, I want to get a husky," it's like, do you have to have plan to have a garden? Don't have a garden because they dig holes in everything. They chew everything. But when I did that face, it was just like, it was almost a great big memory coming back. It's like, oh, it's Dawson. So yeah, that's why I palette knife the piece, and I palette knife. So palette knifing in a landscape is kind of hard, especially when it's small, tiny stuff, because you just gotta slow down. This guy's a little bit too big. I have a smaller guy around here somewhere too. But you're literally, just working in little bits of pieces of texture without, and it's hard to get a blend because you've got one color on your palette knife, and here you are trying to blend it into other colors. So I, work from top down, work it in. I try not to get stripiness going on in my individual. I don't normally leave, that much stripiness. I try to get it all one swoop if I can, so that the high edge, or at least if I do have a start, and I'll come back later on and add the highlights or whatever else needs to say this is a cup shape bending this way, or it's a flopped edge going that way.
But if you could do tulips that way too, huh?
Oh, tulips, I come to the conclusion they're soldiers. They look best when they're lined up in rows. You recognize them as tulips in rows. Mrs. Degody will only let me paint them this way. I can't show them in the vase after 17 days when they're dropping petals and they look like, a poppy. And I can't have brown on the leaves because that's disease. So, you learn just a little bit too much sometimes. And so that can limit my choices. I'm painting something, I'll be wondering, I wonder if someone will recognize that as not, because, a green leaf is really boring, but if it has a little bit of green or red on the tip of the edge, it's exciting. Well, someone who loves tulips might, oh my God, she did diseased poppies. And that's, a virus is actually what creates each of the changes from one tulip to the next. So in the 1600s, when they used tulips as they were worth their weight in gold, and the ones with the flares of color coming out of the petals were the ones that were being affected by a virus. And that's how they interbred them, is literally viruses that make the changes and things. So, learn too much. Anyway, as far as little things, whether it was fireweed or poppies in the background, I'd have little suggestions.